Back in the late 1950s, a eastern Kentucky family claimed that a creature came on their porch one night, and it ended with an axe, a dead creature, and government officials showing up the next day. And this was long before the word Bigfoot was ever in existence. In the 1950s, eastern Kentucky and many places throughout Appalachia was very rural. And it still is, but not as much as it was back then. Your closest neighbor sometimes was miles away. And the story in which I'm getting ready to tell you, I believe is 110% factual. It was told to me by my former chief, my former boss, and this happened to his mother, who unfortunately passed away about 6 or 7 years ago at the age of 99. And you also need to know about his mother. She is the quintessential church mother. A very old, small, beautiful old lady who was a devout Christian who had probably never told a lie in her adult life, to be honest. She said this happened when she was a younger woman in the late 1950s. And in the area it happened, which was about a half a mile from where I'm sitting right now, this area of Appalachia, eastern Kentucky, seems to be some kind of paranormal hub. Everything from Bigfoot to ghosts, dogmen, you name it. This story started on a cold Appalachian evening. It was winter time, and people only had wood stoves back in those days. You had to chop wood or burn coal. There wasn't electric heat or gas heat, for that matter, in most houses back then. The family had been outside pretty much all day, getting ready for the long night. The nights were very long and bitter most of the time. And the dad had been chopping firewood, like he done pretty much every day during the winter months. And he had stacked a huge pile of wood on the porch. That way the family could just open the door, reach outside, get what they needed, and go back in. Well, after a long day of hard work and a lot of wood splitting, the family had dinner, and they were preparing to go to bed this night. And most people went to bed shortly after dark because there was really nothing to do. Most people had no electricity. But as the family was winding down after dinner, just sitting in the living room talking, they began to hear something outside their small cabin. This was up on a huge mountain that literally is right behind me right now. They heard something, which isn't that out of the ordinary in the mountains. There's all kinds of wildlife, deer, bear, you name it, it's here in this area. So they wasn't very alarmed at first. But after a few moments, they could hear whatever this creature was walk up on the porch. Old wooden, creaky porch. So their first thought was, well, it sounds like a person. Which is alarming on one hand, but not on the other. The closest neighbor was probably at least a quarter to a half mile away, and this neighbor was the lady who told the story to her son, which was my former chief of police. And usually if someone showed up on your door after dark, either there was a problem, something was wrong, or it was someone up to no good. So that threw up some red flags. And they began to hear this thing, this person, whatever it was, walk on the porch, back and forth, and they wasn't knocking like a person should, and most animals don't come up on the porch. The dad, being concerned that maybe it was someone trying to steal something or rob them, he made his way over to the door, and there were no windows at the time like we have now. He stood closely to the door with his ear up against it, trying to figure out who or what this thing was on the porch. But he didn't hear anything other than the heavy footsteps that would go back and forth. So after a few moments, not being able to figure out what it was, he just decided there's only one way. That's to open the door. So very slowly, he opened the door, and there are no porch lights. It's dark by this time. There's no flashlight, so probably little to no moonlight. So he peeks his head out. He doesn't see anything at first, but just off on the left side, there stood, as he described it, a ginormous, huge ape, some kind of creature. It was covered in hair from head to toe. And the word Bigfoot had not been around yet. It didn't exist. And this creature, this huge creature, which was taller than any man, 8 to 9 feet tall, covered in long, shaggy hair, stood on his porch, and they just locked eyes. And this gentleman did not know what he was looking at, especially, almost 70 years ago. There was no TV shows or programs about Bigfoot or cryptids or monsters. And there are no apes, there are no monkeys, or any animal like this in eastern Kentucky. Both were shocked initially, made some kind of menacing or aggressive gesture or move, but just so happened, right outside the door next to the wood pile, which he had cut earlier all day long, he stacked his wood up, his axe was still there. That's the only weapon he had. He grabbed his axe, and apparently this creature lunged toward him, and in which he swung his axe and killed this creature. But he didn't know what he killed. Keep in mind, no telephones, no cell phones, closest neighbor a half-mile away, no cars. Very few people had cars. I don't even know if he had a car. But the next morning, when he got up, he did make his trip to town, which was several miles away, and not as convenient or easy as it is in today's standards by any means. He went to town. He allegedly went to the sheriff. They went to the health department. He said, I killed this creature. I don't know what it is. It's not a man. It kind of looks like a monkey. And you got to keep in mind too, probably, more than likely, this gentleman didn't have anything more than an 8th grade education at that time. So he probably was limited in what animals it could have been. But he knew what monkeys and apes were, and he described it as an ape-like creature. So he reported it to the sheriff, the local officials. He came back home. A short time later, the sheriff and the health department came. They observed this creature and did not know what it was, and they told him they would get back with him. The next day, the sheriff, health department officials, and some men who said they were with the government showed up. They didn't identify themselves with any specific agency, but they said they were going to take the body of this creature, and once they figured out the details of what it was, they assured him it was probably some kind of animal like a ape or monkey. But once they figured it out, they done all the tests and sent it away for autopsy or something performed, they would let them know what it was. Do you think those people ever made contact again? They did not. So government officials, even in the 1950s, showed up, took this Bigfoot type creature. They didn't know how to describe it. They didn't say a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch or a Yeti. They just said a big hairy creature that walked like a man. It looked like a man, except it was ginormous, covered in hair, and it's what we today would call Bigfoot. I was not there. I can't say for certain. Yeah, it was true. It happened. But what I do know is the chief of police, who was a good friend of mine, his mother was a very devout Christian. And I know he was not lying, and he says that she was not lying. Throughout his whole life, he never knew of her to tell a lie. She was a very devout Christian. She would not make this up. She had told this story from the time she was a young lady, because she was a neighbor to this person, and they actually came up and seen this creature, Bigfoot, and up until she passed 6 or 7 years ago, she said this story was true. Let me know in the comments, what do you think this was? Was this a Bigfoot before people knew what Bigfoot was, or something else? If you've ever encountered a Bigfoot or any kind of cryptid or monster, let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe and turn on all notifications, because I will be posting more videos like this soon. You can follow me over on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as The Supernatural Sleuth, or you can email me at thesupernaturalsleuth@gmail.com if you have any story, picture, or video you would like to share. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. God bless.